Good morning, Jennings County. Welcome into Wednesday. It's August 11th, 2021. I'm Joe Ammerman. Pleased to have with me in the studio this morning a member of the North Vernon City Council, Trent Wisner. Good morning.
Morning, Joe.
You've been on the council how long now?
I'm in my second term right now.
Okay. You must enjoy it?
I do, yeah. It's very challenging and rewarding at the same time.
Yeah. Well, one of the big things that you guys have addressed in your time on the council has been the initiative to make North Vernon a solar city. Give me a little background. When was the first time you heard about this, and what was the process?
So late 2016, it was brought to us by Mayor Mike Oakes about partnering with Johnson Mello on this project. We know that the county did a few buildings. I think the Jennings County Public Library was done just recently before that, and they've had good results with it. So the council kind of met, and, with that, we have to sit there and stand back and look at all the positives and negatives with that. So what we did was we contacted some other communities. We contacted Jennings County Public Library. We wanted to see what worked and what didn't work for them and how they felt about it. They had great success with it. So then we had to really step back and see how we were going to do all of our city sites, which was challenging in itself because with the public library, they had a lot of roof space. They had some green space that they were able to do these. When you're getting compact into a city, you've got to make a few changes, and we got lift stations throughout that there's just not going to be enough green space to put enough solar panels to get us to a net zero. So there was multiple things that we had to look at. One was the maintenance of the panels, what the ROI on that was, what our bond would be. So, our meetings went on for probably 6 to 8 months before we actually started the process of installing solar.
Well, no doubt when you're getting ready to attempt something that no other town has done, basically, there has to be some caution. And it had to help, I would think, to have the library and a little bit of history for them right here in our community.
Well, anytime you can get feedback of somebody else, you always say you want to learn from somebody else's mistakes. And with them, they had nothing but positives to say. They became a net zero facility, so their electric bill went down to zero on that. So that gave us some encouragement on the project. Also with North Vernon and with the city buildings, we have multiple energy companies that we have to deal with. We have Duke Energy and 2 REMCs that we're right at the line was. So we had to deal with multiple energy companies that have multiple regulations on their solar. So it was a lot of processes we had to work through. Luckily, Johnson Mello does that, and they were able to help guide us along that. So we had some choices to make on the sites.
City Councilor Trent Wisner is our guest this morning. Your background as an electrician had to come in handy here. I'm sure your fellow council members kind of leaned on you a little bit for some knowledge.
Yeah, myself and Councilman Brian Hatfield both are in the electrical field, so that helps us be able to understand more of the KW production and what that's talked about and some of the installation. But also on that part of the solar project that was grouped into it was an LED lighting retrofit. And I think that is one of the things that's kind of not talked about as much, but for a counselor, maintenance is a huge item for us. So anytime you can take the old light fixtures and upgrade them to LED along with solar, then you're cutting your energy costs there, you're cutting your maintenance costs. We were able to put LED at the baseball fields, which needed replaced anyways on the lighting. So it wasn't even just about the solar on the original package. It was the solar and the lighting that really sold me on it.
Well, I don't want to get too deep and too technical here, but can you give us in layman's terms just how does this work? How do these panels result in electric bills going down for the city?
So we had to install meters at locations. It's called net metering. So in essence, it's spinning a meter backwards. So it's taking the solar energy, converting it into electrical energy, and then instead of consuming kilowatts power, we are producing kilowatt power. So as you watch your meter spin, it's going one way and you see it going up. This way it's spinning it essentially backwards, making it go down. With that, it's on a per site basis. So we can't just go into a big open field and do a solar field and then produce so many kWh and then spread that over all the electric bills of the city. We have to do a per site. So on that, we had some site like our wastewater sites. You'll see all the solar arrays out there at Tripton Park. That was big enough that we were able to bring that down to a net zero. At the time, all of the design was based on calculations of 2015. So with that, we've also had some upgrades in facilities that were using a little more energy than what we were in 2015. So when you take the meter bases and you start spinning them backwards, it's considered net metering. And that's how they do it. You'll get a Duke Energy will give you an electric bill on how much you produce versus how much you use. So during the months like we are right now, we're way overproducing electricity. The city is the producer right now. So we will have a big credit. So then when we get into the months of November, December, January, February, we start using those credits. And it's just that cycle. Duke Energy will leave theirs running all the time. So it will just keep carrying over, carrying over. Now, REMC, they pay you a check at the end of it. They do not carry it over year from year. So if we have a positive production, then we get the check for that amount at the end of the year.
So when you're putting this program together, is net zero the goal? We want to produce basically how much the city uses?
Yeah, so ultimately you want to get everything down to net zero. And with that, again, we've had the pumping station at the quarry wasn't part of that, so we've had to use some of that for the pumping station. We've had some buildings being built to wastewater. It wasn't part of that. So we were guaranteed 2.8 million kilowatt hours of production a year. We are producing that. We are using a little more than that. So we still have electric bills, but our production is where it needs to be, and actually we're producing a little more than what we thought we were going to. The ultimate goal is to get every site down to net zero. With that, one thing I will say about the way we've done the project is Senate Bill 309 was passed in 2017. And what that means is in 2018, any solar that was not in production at the time would only be grandfathered in for net zero for 15 years. So if Duke Energy charges us 9 cents a kilowatt hour, they have to pay us 9 cents a kilowatt hour for every kWh we produce. After 15 years, if they were not installed, they do not have to do that anymore. So you can be paying 9 cents kilowatt hour and be receiving 3 cents kilowatt hour. We were able to get our big sites in, so we are grandfathered in for 30 years on the 1-for-1. So that's huge on your return on investment on that. You know, our bonds for 15 years, it'll be paid off in 15 years, but now we get that additional 15 years of 1-for-1 production, you know, versus usage.
We're going to talk more about the how this impacts the budget next week, but the deal with a project like this is big initial expense, right, and savings that will come later, significant savings.
Right. Yeah, and when we go back to the solar versus the LED, you know, the lighting was also a big initial investment to redo all of the lighting. That the savings will also be based on that ROI. The solar, you know, just being able to get the panels up, to get them all installed, you know, all of these things cost, and you know, with the city, it's not going to be a direct, you're not going to get your money back right off the bat. But with our buildings, we don't plan on moving them. I mean, they're going to be there. And I hear a lot of people say, if this is so great, why do you not have solar on your house? My house is not guaranteed a production guarantee of what we're guaranteed with the city. So even if these solar panels do not produce any power, we're still guaranteed the production. So that's what makes this deal that we have, you know, so good, is that we got a production guarantee of 2.8 million kWh annually. So with a house, you're not guaranteed that, and you're more based off of tax credits.
So you're confident about the future of this project and its impact on North Vernon?
I am. We have monitoring sites, so we're able to see real-time production on these sites. We have 3 different monitoring companies depending on the size of the solar arrays, but we're able to see what's happening. Again, Johnson Mello is under contract for a production guarantee for 15 years, so it's in their best interest to make sure we're producing. So after that 15 years, everything is paid off. The panels will degrade at a 0.5% a year. So after our 15 years, we're still at 92.5% production. After our 30 years of the Senate Bill 309, where we are unable to do our net metering, we still are going to be at 85% production. So I feel confident in it.
So will there be maintenance necessary on these panels as time goes on?
There's maintenance. You know, you got to clean the panels. There's going to be some inverters that go out. Luckily, when we get an inverter go out, there's an alarm that's tripped on the monitoring site, so it's caught really quick. As we sit there and start watching productions, we can see if in June we normally produce X amount and we're down significantly, we can go out and see. You know, one of the maintenance items that was not planned out as much as maybe I should have thought about was more of the uptake around the panels. You know, the mowing, the weed eating. That's at the wastewater plants. You can see that. So we've got some of those items we got to work through. But like anything else, we've had multiple communities reach out to us. We've had Carmel reach out to us wanting to do it, and they were just like we called Jennings County Public Library. They're calling us, hey, what went right, what went wrong, what would you do different if you had to do it all over again? So, you know, North Vernon's being noticed for it. So I just hope it just keeps going the way it is.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, actually. Anything else you'd like people to know about North Vernon as a solar city? And
well, as you can tell, there's been a lot of advertisement going on in Solar City. We've been recognized in a lot of different places. I know the North Vernon's city's Facebook page has been posting a lot about it, but you know, you try to set yourself apart from people, and anytime you're one of the first people to do something, you're going to have a lot of negative comments. If we could see in the future, we would always know what works. We don't have that luxury, so we do what we feel is best. Our job is to be good steward of the city's taxpayers' dollars. And with that, you just try to figure out, you know, how you can take the energy bills and just stabilize them. We don't know what the energy is going to do. We hear that there's going to be an energy rate 15 years from now, but with us, we should be stabilized. You know, as long as our solar panels do what they're designed to do, I feel comfortable with it.
Okay, very good. Well, I appreciate your time this morning and your time on the council as well.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you having me here.
All right, Trent Wisner of the North Vernon City Council.